Addiction has been described in many different ways. But for me, I define addiction as an uncontrollable craving, regardless of the negative consequences of that craving. And by that, I mean that addiction is something that is unreasonable to the person experiencing it. Their better judgment might tell them not to do something, but the addiction tells them that they got to do it. And at the course of home, school, relationship, addiction has no regard for any of those things. During the course of my 15-year addiction with heroin, I abandoned my family, I abandoned school, my home, my children, my wife. I became very desperate. I let everything go. Anything that I started, I never finished during the course of my addiction. My addiction impacted me in ways that were so harmful to me that I would shed tears 1 minute, and then in the next minute, I'd be looking to cop heroin. Even though I knew the heroin was taking me down a path of no return almost, even though I had OD several times, even though I had hospital ambulances coming to my home and revive me from the brink of death, I continued to use. Even though I lost my job, I continued to use. Even though I was hospitalized, I continued to use. Even though I was incarcerated, I continued to use. Nothing seemed to be able to stop me from using drugs and continuing a downward spiral into destruction. So to me, addiction is the worst possible thing that one could experience. And for me, I had to learn how to overcome my addiction. But addiction is not a good thing. It's a destroying thing. And I would ask anybody out there listening to ask yourself to name one positive thing that your addiction has done for you. Name one thing that you could point to in your addiction that was helpful to you, that lifted you up. Now somebody would say, well, it relieved the pain I was experiencing, helped me to medicate myself. That was only temporary. Addiction is something that is a destroyer of lives and must be overcome. Thank you.